Join me as we make some plywood swords for your vast army. Are you ready? Uh-oh. When we make these plywood swords, I like to use a 3/4 inch thick plywood because it actually gives a little bit of grip. It's not so flimsy. It'll take a little bit of beating before it breaks, and ultimately they usually always break at some point, and at that point, that's when you make another one. So it's gonna happen. So I take a 3/4 inch piece of plywood, I sketch out my design, and then you could either use a scroll saw, but I really like to use a jigsaw. That way I can get around all those corners and just clamp this down to a table. I usually just clamp it down, and then I can get around all those corners. So it really depends on what you want for a sword and who it's gonna be for. If it's for young kids, you don't want a massive, long thing. You want it small enough where they can have fun with it and not have it be a chore to pick it up, because then they won't pick it up and use it. So I'm gonna go ahead and sketch out a design, and then I'm gonna cut out with a jigsaw. I don't paint these usually, but for a fun little thing, you could paint these with your kid, and then that'd be a fun little thing for you. It'd give them some ownership of it. They can make it whatever color they want. Be a fun little deal. So I'm gonna draw it out, then I'm gonna cut it, then I'm going to router all the edges with a round over bit, then I'm gonna sand it all so it's nice and smooth, and we're not gonna give any little kids any splinters. Stay tuned.
I'm a big fan of the Lord of the Rings, so I thought it would be fun for a small piece, a small sword, to make Frodo's sting. It's not super loud, friends, but make sure you wear some hearing protection. After I cut them out, folks, the next thing I do is I run every edge over a round over bit and round these edges over, and then it's not such a sharp edge, and I don't have to do as much sanding. So right now, folks, at this point, it actually feels pretty good. I can run my hand all over it, and I'm not getting splinters, but I'm still gonna take some sandpaper and just sand all these edges down. Looks pretty decent. A little bit of sanding, and it'll be great.
All right, friends, so there you go. It's super easy to make a wooden sword out of scrap plywood. A fun little project for the kids. would be to go ahead and paint these. Get some paint them up, whatever colors you want, and then they can tell their sword as opposed to their siblings or their friends or whatever. That way everyone's grabbing their own. We're not fighting over it. But there you go, folks. Have fun making some wooden swords.